Okay, so here's a good one for you. Today is Wednesday, August 13th. It's in the afternoon now. But I've been working on this KitchenAid under-the-counter ice machine on and off in my garage for about a couple of weeks now. I knew it needed a compressor. The compressor had failed, so I replaced the compressor. I was running some cleaning cycles on it to get it clean because it was quite a mess. But then after I put the compressor in, I was doing a pressure test with nitrogen. That's what I normally do. And I had a leak somewhere. I could see the gauge going down. At first, I couldn't actually see it dropping. But after a little while, I could see it dropping. The pressure would drop. So I'll show you what we got here. So this is the ice machine, or minus the top right now, the KitchenAid. Got the bottom cover off, toe kick off. You open it up, and the top is missing right now, and the evaporator coil and everything. It's pretty interesting. So the water comes in on this evaporator coil. Here it is. I've got it in the back. It goes like this. So this plate, the refrigerant runs through it, through here. Okay, kind of like in your fridge, an evaporator coil. It gets nice and cold. It's running from the compressor. You got your refrigerant lines here. The water runs across this plate and it freezes like a sheet of ice. And after a certain amount of time, and it builds up the sheet to say 1/4 inch thick, then it runs a little reverse heat, reverse cooling. So you do a hot gas and it reverses, so it runs the hot gas through there, and it creates like a little heater, and it melts the layer of ice. That sheet of ice then comes out and hits this guy, and these cut the sheet into cubes. They drop into the bin. And there's your little water tank down here where you got your pump, circulates the water and comes up on this little tray. Anyway, what's happened is I replaced the compressor, and that guy's great, and I was getting a leak and I couldn't figure out where. I checked all down here, thought maybe it was something I did. No, all that's fine. Well, it turns out that right here, can't really see it, but right here where it's kind of corroded looking, I had pressure in here and I used soapy water, and this thing was leaking. I've got a little short video I'll show you. Anyway, so I got to replace this whole thing, this whole piece. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm gonna disconnect this from the pipes underneath, and I've got a new one right here in the box. I'll be putting that on. So then I've got to finish cleaning. This is still a little dirty. So this ought to be a doozy. Okay, after a lot of looking, I found a leak right here. You see that? Part of this evaporator coil, which is the part inside the ice machine that the water runs across and turns into ice, and then it comes through here and cuts it into pieces. Anyway, this guy's leaking, so the evaporator coil needs to be replaced here. I mean, this one's pretty dramatic. You can actually see the pressure go down on this leak slowly. Yeah, see that? We're just crossing 80, dropping. And that's from this little guy right here on that evaporator coil. Yeah. All right, so this is the new unit here. It's kind of awkward, long. Got the copper pipes, capillary tube right there, the skinny one. Got some insulation around the suction pipe so it doesn't frost up too easily. And then that's the evaporator coil, and then underneath, of course, you can see the areas where the refrigerant runs through. So I'm going to put this guy in. I'm going to take the old one out, and I'm going to put the new one in, and we'll see what happens. All right, so I've cut away the foam insulation, and normally I would unbraze this. So this is one of the pipes that kind of wraps around here, comes back. That's the suction line. I would normally unbraze this right here, disconnect, and then I would take the new one, and this pipe right here, I would braze that in place. But since I just put this compressor in yesterday and I've already brazed this pipe in, I don't want to do it again because it's going to weaken the joint. So at least that's not what I'd like to do. I'm going to probably cut this around here somewhere, right around here, and then use a Vulcan lock ring. That's my idea on that. Same with this pipe. This one goes all the way to the hot gas valve. I might unbraze it here, or I might use a lock ring on it as well. We'll see. So let's see what we can do here. First I'm gonna cut these. I'm gonna cut this one here with a tube cutter, handy dandy little tube cutter, and this one I'm gonna cut probably right here, and we'll see what we get. Start with the little one. I'm doing this, cutting this on the straightest parts, because if I'm going to use that lock ring, it's a crimp connector. You really need to have straight edges, straight tubes. You don't want to do it on a curve. That's a problem. You'll see when I do that. And it's nice and warm in the garage. It's got to be, I don't know, 103. At least I got a fan blowing on me. There we go. That one's disconnected. We'll just cut this guy. Get this out of the way here. These tubing cutters are pretty nice. You just crimp it on there, and then you just turn it a few revolutions, and then you tighten this knob just a little bit. Puts more pressure on the blade there. And do a few more revolutions and snug it up again. Do that about 4 times or so, just snugging it up. And then the pipe will cut. Kind of like a glass cutter, but with copper pipe in this case. Goes. All right, get that out of the way. Well, I still got to get my capillary tube. That I've got to cut, and I've got a special cutter for that. That one I'm probably going to unbraze from the bottom of the filter dryer. I'm going to probably have to replace the filter dryer, because when you open up systems like this, you really need to replace the filter dryer. So for right now, I think I'm just going to cut it, but I'll end up doing something there. So I have this special cutter that came with my Vulcan lock ring set, and it looks like a regular like wire snips, but the way the blade is, it cuts it at like a 45-degree angle. And so with these capillary tubes, if you just cut it with I'll show you. If you just cut it with like a regular wire snipper or something, it's a hollow tube. And so you do that, and what happens is it gets pinched. So you can see that. It gets pinched shut, and that's no good. You need that to be open so the refrigerant can go through there, the gas. So this cutter, you cut it with this. If I cut it with this, what happens is, you see that the hole is the tube. Wow, this isn't focusing very good, is it? See if I can get this there. You can see it better. So now it's actually open, and that's what we want. We want that to be open. Okay, capillary tube's disconnected. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull this out, get this out of the way. And I went ahead and disconnected the water tubing from the solenoid over there, so I can actually take this top off. I've got the wiring disconnected, and I've got all of the sealed system disconnected, water tubing. Should be able to just pull this guy off right now. Let's see. We'll find out. Yep. That's going to make it easier to work on. I can work on this. All right, so we're going to take a look at this old one. All right, and this is where it was leaking from, right here and here. And you see it's pretty well corroded. But water on copper, because water runs right across this, and if it's overspraying and stuff over years, it's going to cause oxidation and the copper is going to corrode. That's that. Okay, I'm going to take this filter dryer off now. Unbraze it. So the pipe is somewhat clean. All right, so I had to make a little sleeve for this because this pipe and this pipe are exactly the same size, and I don't have the right size lock ring compression fitting for that. So I made a little sleeve that's a little bigger, and we're gonna braze that. And then I cut this guy open ready for the capillary tube. We'll do that in a few minutes. You gotta put your brazing flux on first. Be liberal with this. This stuff works pretty good. Stay so, at least for copper to copper and copper to steel. I haven't had to really do copper to aluminum very much. All right, let's see if that works. That looks pretty good. Well, I really didn't want to have to do it, but since I don't have the right size lock ring connectors for this, I went ahead and unbrazed this pipe right here on this hot gas valve. It looks pretty clean. I think we'll be okay on that. And I ended up unbrazing the one off the compressor. I really didn't want to do that, but it looks pretty clean. So I'm gonna let them cool down, and I'm gonna sand them down and clean them up. Okay, so I've got the cabinet kind of placed on top of the basic now again. I kind of cleaned this stuff up here. I put the new evaporator coil in and physically put everything in place inside here, cleaned it up. And now I've got the pipes run down here, and I went ahead and just pressed them into their location. This one goes here. This hot gas pipe goes here to the hot gas valve, and then the capillary tube goes here to the filter dryer. Got a new filter dryer on there. So I'm going to go ahead and I took the solenoid off. The solenoid that goes to the hot gas valve, I took it off because I'm going to heat that up, and I didn't want to cause damage to that. So I'm going to go ahead and braze these guys on and see how it goes. Okay, so I brazed the pipes in place now. Got our suction tube here. Not my finest brazing there. That was crappy actually, but and then the hot gas pipe there is good, and the capillary tube there is good. The zip tie the extra up against the filter dryer, and I almost forgot to put the fan shroud and fan back in place right here, but I put that back in place before I put the I ended up popping the cabinet back off again and then put that in place. So those are all brazed in, and right now, and I put the solenoid valve back on there. What I'm doing right now is I evacuated the system. I pulled a vacuum on it and got it down to minus like 26 inches of mercury, and it held vacuum for a couple of minutes. I wanted to get the air out of it. Now what I've done is I've just charged it up in nitrogen. I got about 80 pounds of pressure here, connected up to the service valve there, service port, and I turned off the nitrogen. And so what we're doing now is I've got the valve shut off here. It's isolated. So I'm going to check this in, 30 minutes and make sure that we still have 80 pounds of pressure. And if we do, we're in good shape. All right. So I thought everything was good, but I got a leak after all that. So I'm checking all my welds and everything, brazes, and I'm not finding it. So I checked the new filter dryer and checking my brazing, and nope, but it is leaking from the new filter dryer in the seam. So from the factory, whoever built that, it's got a leak. So check this out. Yeah, let's put some soapy bubbles on there. Hey, look at that. Right, do better. So right in the seam here, right there, in between these two, like this one's the pipe I brazed, and this is an extra for in case you wanted to put a service fitting. But right here, let me squirt that again. And you can see it. Right in the seam. Crazy. So I'm going to clean that up, and I'm going to put some flux on there, and I'm going to hit that with some solder. See if we can get that to seal up. Okay, I brazed it, and now I just pressurized it to 82 pounds and put some soap on there again, and no more leaks. Kind of weird. So no more leaks. Let's check the pressure over here. Got like 82 pounds, and I'm going to let it sit for about 30 minutes. We're gonna make sure that we're still there. Oh boy. Okay, it's been over 30 minutes and I still have the 82 pounds of pressure, so we're good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and evacuate the system, make sure it holds vacuum, and if that does, then we'll put in some refrigerant. Well, here we are the following Monday, the 18th, and I'll give you an update. It turned out well. It held vacuum, it held pressure first, it held vacuum for a couple of days actually, till Friday. Friday afternoon, I went ahead and added refrigerant and flushed out the water system, cleaned it with a cleaning solution, and then I ran it for about 4 hours, and it produced about a third of a bin of ice in 3 or 4 hours, which is really nice. So we called the customer, said, hey, this thing's ready to go. We set up delivery for Saturday and delivered it, and the customer's happy, we're happy. So it's all done, thank God. Pain in the neck, pain in the knees, elbows, and everything else, but it's done. So until next time, we will see you here on the Handyman channel. We'll see you.